NASCAR in Daytona, name a more iconic duo. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world's center of racing, where we get set to kick off a new chapter of Saturday night racing, and it's the SRA new Gen 4 Series. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Nolan Remble, bringing you all of racing action from start to finish, alongside, for the first time, Lucas Moody here on Saturday night. Lucas, it's of course Daytona, the world center of racing, home of the Daytona 500 and the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. This one bound to be a good show, with 19 brand new Gen 4 cars fresh off the haulers and ready to rumble at this 2.5 mile behemoth.
Yeah, I am excited. This is going to be 90 laps of straight action jammed together. It is going to be absolutely amazing to watch. So make sure you stick all the way from lap 1 all the way to lap 90. And you mentioned it, it is the Daytona International Circuit, one of the most famous circuits in the world. So many huge events are hosted here. The Daytona 500, the Rolex 24 Hour. I can't even begin to explain how many laps of just this track I have turned in iRacing. So this one is going to be an absolute heater.
Right now, with 104 degrees Fahrenheit down on the track temps, it's a hot day out here, but that temp is only going to get cooler as we get set to go racing into the evening, with it being around 4 o'clock p.m. in sim time at the moment. Drivers are currently situated on the grid, just going through their last-minute warm-ups here for their pre-race meeting before we'll get things underway. All manner of drivers here attending this afternoon. While it may only be a 19-car field, you've got very old veterans like Aaron Raymond, regulars that have been present throughout it all like Zane Bailey. You've got some returning folks like John Bualda Jr. You've got some rookies like Seth Wilbur and Elliott Kandra. Plenty of drivers, some new, some old, some returning, and all of them getting set for what some might be their first ever race in this car, was only to be released in the latest build.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, especially with that new aspect, as you just mentioned. And one of my favorite parts about Daytona and these super speedway tracks is it's, as I like to describe it, 180 mile an hour rush hour. These cars are close together, they're pushing, they're shoving, they're touching, trying to get as much speed out of them as they can, and they're all jam-packed together, so close, but they're going 180 miles an hour. I mean, it is just crazy speeds to think about. Like, imagine you're in a downtown area, you know, bumper-to-bumper traffic. You know, you're going like, what, 5 to 10? Take that and like 20x the speed.
This is going to be the longest race of the season as well, standing at 225 miles. The next closest one going to be at Talladega, but that one only 212. From there, around 150 to 175 miles throughout the course of the season. Of course, we start tonight at Daytona. It's a 12-race championship. We'll kick things off here, then we'll swing out to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, followed by Chicagoland, then the older version of Charlotte, followed by Homestead Miami Speedway, then Dover, Michigan Gateway. Second plate track comes in at Talladega on October 11th, and then it is Pocono, Richmond, and a trip out to America's gambling capital at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to close out the season on November 1st. So a action-packed schedule ahead of us, and a lot of very exciting tracks. I know, Lucas, you were talking earlier about how excited you were about this championship kicking off. I am too. Not only are we starting at one of the best places to start off a season, but we're also going to be closing out the season at, in my opinion, one of the best tracks NASCAR has to offer.
Yeah, Vegas is one of my favorite tracks to run. I remember just last year in a series I run for my college team, I got a podium around Las Vegas. I was able to finish third. And if it wasn't for a late race caution, I egotistically believe I could have even won that race. So Vegas is definitely one of my favorites as well. But nothing better to start it off with Daytona. There is a reason that the NASCAR Cup Series starts and ends the regular season with Daytona. It is an absolute banger of a racetrack.
It certainly is, and well, with the drivers' meeting getting set to wrap up officially here in just a little while, it's about high time that we take a rundown and take a look at who is all going to be starting where. It's the Gen Open getting set to roll out from Daytona International Speedway. So starting on pole position then here this afternoon for us, it's going to be the likes of Ted Rekich, a driver that has made some enemies over the last little while. I'm not sure how many drivers will be willing to work with him over the course of the season, but he will be rolling out nonetheless from pole position here this afternoon. He starts alongside Elliot Kandra, running an old Papyrus lookalike car with that 09 machine for the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. They're back on row number 2. It's going to be the likes of Zane Bailey. He starts alongside Thomas Lane Jr. for Team SRA. Row 3 on the grid, we got Michael Gudge for Team IL. He starts alongside Aaron Raymond here this afternoon. With row 4, bringing up the likes of Mark Arthur alongside Cody Gibson. Top 10 then Lucas Moody. It is closed out by Dylan Wilbers and Joshua Burke.
Yeah, of course, then starting 11th will be that 75 machine of William McKellar IV. And then lining up alongside him will be Paul Witt for Team IEL. Just behind them, in the lucky number 13th spot will be Mike Campbell in the 71 machine. And then lining up alongside him will be Tanner Marr in the number 40. Starting in 15th place will be John Bawada Jr. And next to him will be Cody Wett, another Team IEL driver. And just behind them in 17th will be Noah Swafford for Raymond Motorsports and Seth Wilbur lining up to him. And to wrap it all up, in 19th position will be the number 7 car of Kevin Roy.
So that is it then. All drivers are just getting gridded up, waited on Cody Gibson, Noah Swafford, and Kevin Roy. And then we'll get racing action here underway. Of course, this one going to be a long one, right? 90 laps, 225 miles, but those laps can go by quickly. The big caveat of tonight, no 3 wide until the end of lap number 17. That is about the stint of a field run from when they were running in the Truck Series. That rule carries over into Gen 4 racing action. So expecting a relatively calm start, I'd imagine, this afternoon, unless drivers decide to get a little bit argy-bargy with that bumper. Of course, the urge bump draft at tracks like Daytona, they are always high, and now these guys got to keep in mind that these bumpers do not link up like that of a Gen 7 car.
Yeah, and of course, super speedways, there is a big factor of luck that goes into these races, but most of the time, those better pushers, those cars that can receive pushes better, they will end up at the front. They will find their way towards the front just as the race goes on because of their higher skill capacity. So I'm really curious to see, who seems to be those better pushers. Who has more friends in the group? Who is able to link up and work with people really well? Those will be the people that are in the best contention to win this race.
One of the big names entering today going to be that number 20 driver, Zane Bailey. Took the championship just a couple weeks ago over in the SRA NAS Classic Series, but did so in controversial fashion. He tangled with the lone driver contending for the title with him, Dulcie Kilroy. That happened on the final lap of the race, put his competition into the wall. Now, admittedly, Kilroy gave a bit of a pinch. Kilroy doesn't believe he was at fault. Bailey doesn't believe he was at fault. That championship was not rescinded from the number 20, and he was not penalized for that incident either, so he will line up in third, but no doubt that might be in the backs of the minds of some drivers this afternoon.
Yeah, you're always thinking about rivalries, friendships, drama, especially when you're at these super speedways. If there's a car in front of you that you don't like, maybe you just don't push him, or maybe you give him a little bit too big of a push and he puts his car in the wall. You always got to keep those in the back of your mind, especially at play tracks.
Pat, working down the Daytona Super Stretch. Normally, this is around the time where I'd say if you have any favorites for this one, but Daytona, now it's a moot point, right? I mean, how they line up now, it's going to be nothing close to no doubt how they're going to be finishing this afternoon. So, Ted Rickich makes his way through turn numbers 3 and 4. And we are happy that you all are joining us for some more racing action here on Saturday night. The iRacing pace car is set to make its turn down into pit road. And the Recon Brewing number 13 will be in control as we look to enter the Geico restart zone. Time, once again, to get a new chapter started of Saturday night racing action. And it's time to go, go, go at the World Center of Racing.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty clean start from all of the drivers. Wreckage was able to get away really well, keeping that 13 car in first, and Bailey takes that number 20 machine, moves it up into second past Elliott, and is even starting to get some bumps on the back of Ted and see if they can create a gap.
Trying to build up that gap. They fight their way down the back straightaway towards turn number 3. Wreckage maintaining the strong momentum down on the bottom side. all the way up top. Thomas Lane Jr. continues to lead the field up on the outside. Wreckage and Bailey, 1 and 2. The 09 of Elliott Kendra and the Napa Auto Parts 09. Off of turn number 4, going to be running in third. Lead lap number 1, it's going to be the number 13.
Yeah, and since these cars have already started to single file out in those first 3 rows, and even though they're double file, they're all racing very clean so far. This is where you start thinking already, even though it's lap 2, you start thinking about fuel already. If you're leading a pack, if you're leading a line, you're going to be using much more fuel than people that aren't. So maybe you want to think about just making sure on the right strategy, essentially, because if they all pit together, like all the cars behind you pit together and you're left out to dry, that's a lot of time loss, especially at Daytona.
Coming around, turn numbers 3 and 4. That outside lane, gathering some momentum behind it here. Thomas Lane Jr. wanting to help that drive up to the head of the field this afternoon. He is pushed by the Kellogg's number 6 Monte Carlo of Aaron Raymond. Wreckage jumping up high, trying to maybe give Lane a sniff of the trap. Quickly cuts back down, though, back in line with Zane Bailey as they roll around to turn numbers 1 and 2. One driver, by the way, did not take the start. It is Kevin Roy. He is now out, and he is running in this field, although he has already lost the draft, and now is begging for an early caution so he doesn't go a lap down.
Yeah, you do not want to lose a draft here at Daytona. Driving by yourself is so much slower. We can even tell that based on the timing charts. He is 2 seconds a lap slower than the guys in this main pack. So, as you said, he's going to want to caution now and just hope for it. And if it doesn't come now, just hope it comes soon, because he's going to quickly lose time. In 20 laps or so, he will already be a lap down. But yes, they're trying to start something on that top line. It's going to be difficult unless you get some really good pushes. If that 6 can hold on to the 38 for an entire lap round, maybe they can make some momentum on the 13, on the 20. But it's very difficult, and these cars overheat very quickly.
One car down low on the racetrack. That is Michael Gudger. Gudger said, yep, I'm good on that one, thank you, as he's going to fade to the rear of the field. Rejoins just before turn 3, and you saw as well the 18 of Seth Wilbur deliberately moving up, allowing him some space to get up and in there. Didn't want to risk that 64 coming up in the middle of the racetrack, so that's going to put Seth Wilbur now up on the outside. I think rookies like Seth Wilbur might also just be trying to bide their time, see how things are going to come to you, right? It's a new car, new field. Always not a bad idea to just kind of take things a bit easier and let the race come to you.
Yeah, especially as a rookie with first-hand experience from that, there's a lot of nerves, especially at the start of races, and especially at Daytona of all tracks. You know, you get shivers down your body. You know, maybe a little shaky. Maybe your throttle control isn't as firm because your foot, you're having trouble keeping it in place. So, just, I don't want to say sizing up the field, but really just kind of like biding your time, sizing up the field, just getting comfortable here in this pack at Daytona.
Oh, man, Lane getting a bit close to Zane Bailey as they come off of 4. So far, Wreckage has led every single lap today, and Zane Bailey is done playing second fiddle. He jumps to the outside, and Zane Bailey going to try to go to the point, round the top, courtesy of Thomas Lane Jr., and that looks like it'll be a move that'll pay off for now. And how about that? Using Lane to leapfrog his way past Michael Gutcher.
Yeah, does not wait for the 38 to get clear. He says, thank you for your assistance, but I will be seeing you later. Jumps down to take first position on the inside line. Makes a really nice pass over Ted Wreckage. And Daytona, a lot of this is a chess game. And so far, Bailey is playing that chess game very well. Use that top line to leapfrog the 13. Jumps back down and he's clear. And now look at this, the 38 of Thomas Lane Jr. He's fallen back all the way to 4th place. So he gets that top line, uses it for his own gain, and then lets it die.
Well, that said, you do have to be careful playing those types of games, because if you do that too much, well, these guys are going to start remembering what you're doing, and all of a sudden, come late in the race when you're looking for a dance partner, they might not be so big a tango all of a sudden. So that's one of those things you can probably get away with it once or twice, but you make a pattern out of it, people aren't going to be so willing to work with you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. Thomas Lane, it comes later down the draft, or it comes later down. Maybe Thomas is behind you. We're coming 1 to go with the flag, and you're in 2nd. He's in 4th right behind you. Maybe he's not pushing you to the win. So you're right. You always have to be careful, and Thomas will probably remember that. Like, hey, you didn't wait for me to clear. Why would I help you try to win this race?
Through 1 and 2, it is still Bailey and Lane to lead the 2 lanes. Double file all the way back through this field with Kevin Roy, the lone driver right now, down at the very tail end of things. It is just going for a Sunday drive and hoping that this race turns around for him later on. Cody Gibson up top right now, the primary pusher on that outside lane, but he hasn't shown too much oomph. Not a lot of desire to get up there and lead the way.
Yeah, it is not easy to get that outside lane to catch up. You really just, it's all about out-pushing that inside line. And it's difficult. You know, the car behind has to give a really nice square push. The car in front has to be expecting it and know how to keep their wheel and keep their car straight. And as I said earlier, you can only do that for maybe a lap and a half at a time before that Gen 4 marker, you know, your oil temperature starts rising, your water temperature starts rising, and this Gen 4 car starts getting unhappy, and that's how you lose engines.
Well, you also have to be careful because of the nose shape, right? I mean, look at here. We'll get a better look at this one here. Look at the number 1, or actually even better, look at the 6 into the 09. See how the front nose slants downward. That's good for aero, yes, but at the same time, it also hampers you big time because you can't really give that square of a push to the back bumper like you can to the Gen 7 car. It acts like a scoop in a way. It's the same reason why we don't see late models ever going for bumps on short tracks all that often.
Yeah, and I think we did just see 13 wreckage back to the point. Did the same thing Bailey did to him, used that top line, gets the gap he needs, drops back, and leaves Thomas Lane Jr. in the dust again. That 38 car, dude, poor guy, because he is now gotten up, essentially caught that first place driver twice now at this point, but been left to drive both times.
Aaron Raymond from the bottom lane going to jump in front of the Chief Express of 38 as well. So Aaron Raymond now wants to go for the lead, and I can almost guarantee you he's going to look to pull the exact same stunt that Bailey and Wreckage have twice already. Get up there, drop down, abandon the outside line. It's a classic super speedway tactic, right? And in cars like these, you don't really have much other options other than to do just that.
Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And what I'm noticing is very interesting. As soon as Bailey gets back behind Wreckage, look at that gap they're able to pull. I believe that's on Aaron, that's Mark Arthur, the car behind him in the 12. So I feel like almost Wreckage has a bit better of a pushing advantage over Bailey. Because as soon as he got behind him, that 13 and 20 were able to connect and get a good gap.
Driving through to turn numbers 3 and 4, and now through the tri-oval. Raymond continues to lead the way, and already we are working lap 12 of 90, well into the double digits. Back of the field starting to break up a little bit here. I don't think this is much on pace. I think some drivers are playing a fuel game, and others can see moves like Wreckage as being made more and more frequently up front. They might be getting ready just in case this goes awry, as it almost does there on the super stretch.
Yeah, if I'm in the back there, I'm thinking one thing, and that word is survival. You know, you're back there 14th and backwards. You're not really fighting for position. You're fighting to make it to lap 85, and then you can really start going for it. Or, as you said, maybe they're playing the fuel game. You can stay out those couple extra laps. Maybe you stay out when a caution hits, and that catapults you to the front. So, yeah, if I'm the back here, you're playing the survival game, you're playing the full saving game, and you're not really wanting to be aggressive, and especially not until lap 17. But when lap 17 comes around, that's when you might start to see some things get hairy. As you know, some drivers, if they're on a Discord call together, they say, hey, let's jump up, let's make a third line, and let's see if we can take the lead of this thing.
Ripping around into turn numbers 3 and 4 here, as still drivers like Aaron Raymond are going to fight it out more and more. Raymond up to the front of the pack. Wreckage situated just a little ways behind him. And now Lane. Can he finally push Aaron Raymond clear for the lead? He will. Now does Raymond go low? Does he remain loyal to the top side? No surprise. He jumps down low.
Yeah, and once again, Thomas Lane Jr. just helps one of his fellow competitors get to that point once again. And oh, wow, the 13-10 wreckage makes a really quick move up to the top. Now he's looking back for the point.
Quickly jumping up top, and this time Lane's not taking chances. He jumps down to the inside. I think he's had enough of it. He's like, you know what? I'm going to jump down before any of you have a chance to abandon me again. So Lane jumps to the inside with that wreckage, and that leaves Cody Gibson out to dry. Gibson might be feeling a little bit burned by that. He's like, I've been pushing you through thick and thin here, and you ditch me like that?
Yeah, Thomas Lane has had enough, and unfortunately, Cody Gibson is the one that falls for it. We found our new Thomas Lane. It's now Cody Gibson, but I'm sure that he'll be able to start a new outside line. You know, he's got some people behind him to help push him, and maybe now he can get to that point. But like I said, you know, if you're one of these top guys that have been leading these fields for a long time, you know, like Thomas, like Ted, like Zane, you really have to watch your fuel numbers, because you do not want to be pitting 5 or like 1 or 2 laps even before the guys behind you pit, because you will just be left out to dry, and you will just be stuck around Daytona with no draft, kind of like Kevin Roy is right now, unfortunately.
And I feel like that fuel window is starting to slowly but surely creep up on us, because look at how many cars are starting to try and find their way down to the inside line. We might not be too far away from green flag pit stops in this season opener. So right now, wreckage continues to lead the way as Aaron Raymond jumps back to the top side. Well, as I say that, the outside line starting to find some form again, so it might have a bit of time. Wreckage now jumping to the top. Wreckage doesn't want Raymond to lead this thing.
I couldn't imagine why. I've been told that Raymond might have made some enemies across the seasons as this has been going on, but Wreckage just a great racing move trying to block him off, but Raymond actually drops down low, now looking at that front line, or sorry, now looking at that inside line. Now it's Wreckage versus Raymond. And we'll see which line has the more favorable pushes, but I assume that as soon as that 13 car clears Raymond, he's going to drop down.
Yeah, so far, it's really been a battle between the number 6 and the number 13 as to who wants to lead this thing, hasn't it? Neither driver willing to give much. There you see Aaron Raymond now. Still leading the way. Thomas Lane Jr. going to be pushing him. But Wreckage from up top. Still looking to try and make a jump back to the front.
I don't think he's getting the pushes he'd wanted from Wilbers. And yeah, he abandons that top line. I just don't think that Dylan was pushing him enough for him to want to stay there. Like I said, it is hard to get that outside line caught up, and you really have to push a lot. It's not easy in these Gen 4 cars. I have a lot more experience than next gens, and it's pretty doable in next gens. But in these Gen 4 cars, you said that nose is really awkwardly shaped, and it's tough. And Wreckage just wasn't getting what he wanted, so he abandons that line, drops down, and now forms in line behind Thomas and Aaron.
So the field going to continue to scrap it out here as we get closer and closer to our first one. Green flag stops, and man, the 71 of Mike Campbell Sr. getting up towards that outside wall and nearly ended up going into the fence, as a matter of fact. Probably kicked up some marbles, which is what you saw with the little puff of smoke. So they're starting to flirt with those lines here as Dylan Wilbers drives towards the front.
Yeah, that 71 is putting a lot of aggressive bumps on that 16. You know, as you mentioned, maybe they're getting close to the end of their pit window, and that 71 is really trying to get as far into this pack as he can, and the 16 leaves him go. There's 2 cars in the grass.
Oh my goodness, heads up here as they come back onto the racetrack. That is Joshua Burke hard into the outside wall. Noah swapping to the DeWalt number 17, collected as well. No caution flags, and Joshua Burke bringing it to a stop in the infield. Might have hoped for one, and that car not a lot of steering ability underneath it. A pretty hefty whack coming down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and as those cars were in the back, there were no racing level traffic approaching them, so no caution was thrown because of that fact. They're also in the infield, so they were not even on the racing surface. No one's approaching them. And it looks like, did they just push each other off the racetrack?
Yeah.
Is that some beef maybe? Wow.
I don't.
That is hatred.
I don't think it's beef, so to say. I think they more just kind of got hooked together. That is a lick, though, into the wall. But I'm willing to bet, you know, those are two drivers that were just kind of hooked together. They're both trying to wrestle it back, and that kind of resulted in them both coming together. But yeah, that sort of thing can happen pretty easily at a track like Daytona, right? I mean, you get two cars, one goes up, one goes down. You get hooked together in that, you know, 180, 190 miles an hour. Not a lot you can do other than just kind of hang on for the ride.
Yeah, iRacing has some weird moments like that. It happens a lot more in the IndyCar, where if you drive into each other enough, and you hit enough throttle, you like load your two cars together, and it works. It's really, really weird. That might be what happened there. Me and my teammates in practice would like to mess around and see how like we can prank each other. But yeah, just another one of like weird, and it's a green flag pit stop.
Here we go, green flag stops, and Dylan Wilbers overshoots, spins on the entry, locks it down, keeps it out of the field. But a big slide, that's going to be a black flag for sure, as everyone else is in. Yeah,
black flag would most likely be, what, 40-second stop and go is usually what iRacing gives for pit lane penalties. So that's not going to be what you want for the 16 car, but looks like the 7 wins out on pit road from out of nowhere.
Sure did. So Kevin Roy jumps the field as he hops out of pit road. Now, unfortunately, he is a lap down. So he's going to be needing the caution to help him out here. Oh, no, Ted Rekich coming down to pit road. And this is disastrous for Rekich because, remember, he's by himself. He's not going to have any kind of drafting help here.
Yeah, so we know Rekich was leading that pack. So maybe the first car that decided to pit was behind him. And he didn't see that, you know, as he passed the pit lane, all the cars behind him decided to pit. So yeah, he's just completely left abandoned, and he's going to hope and pray that when he exits, he can catch up with that pack.
On board with Dylan Wilbers here, as he was just never going to make that work, and no chance as he slid into pit road.
Yeah, and a bit of insider information. These cars are not easy to stop. Talk about you haven't used the brakes on them for 23 laps. It is very, very difficult to get them stopped, especially the fear and risk of locking up is very, very great. So just a very common mistake there from Dylan Wilbers. Nothing to be ashamed of at all. Many drivers do it. I know I've done it many times. Very easy thing to do, especially on the very cold brakes of these Gen 4 cars.
Well, Zane Bailey is going to come off of pit road. Now, he also came down by himself, so he might actually be able to link up with Ted Rekich here. Maybe they can help each other out here. You know, two cars both coming down by themselves, both of them kind of not out around where you'd expect a lot of cars with draft to be, so it could be of some benefit. Oh, Campbell's overshot, and he is not the only one. Mark Arthur overshoots, but the 75 McKellar is spun. Coming down to the, I think he may have got into the wall.
Yeah, so as I was just talking about, it's a very common mistake to overshoot this pit entrance at Daytona. There's so many factors. There's a chaos of other cars. There's your brakes are being cold. It's hard to see where you picked your braking spot to be just because of the angle of the track. And oh, he gets pushed. He gets bumped from the car behind, and he's in the wall. So one car gets pushed from the car behind. The 75 locks the rears and goes into the wall. That's chaos. That's real chaos.
It was Mike Campbell, the driver that got punted around. He was on his way in, and he got hit from behind by Mark Arthur on the way in. Good job to recover that. You know what? I think he did the right move there. He thought he might try to make it back down, but when he realized it wasn't happening, he did a wise move, and he bailed out, went back onto the racetrack. You're going to lose less time doing that. Well, never mind. I was going to say he's going to lose less time if he got a black flag, but he's just run out of fuel.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because if he tries to go back into pit lane, you skip that commitment cone, and you are just going to get a very, very heavy black flag. So yeah, in that situation, the best thing to do is to go one more lap around. But if you don't have enough fuel for that one more lap around, it all gets really hairy. and the only hope for him is that he can send the lead lap here.
Well, there are plenty of opportunities where drivers will be able to potentially have yellow flags. It's just devastating for Campbell. He was hoping to have such a good day, and well, not so much anymore. Elliott Cantra now leading the way as the field takes off towards turn number 1. Cantra, one of the rookies, enter racing action here this afternoon. Looking to have a good run, hopefully.
Yeah, and as you see, Kevin Roy there, that 4th car in the pack, he's not actually racing his 4th position, but being up here in this main pack puts him in a great position to get that lucky dog chance. Next caution comes, he will be the lead car lap down, and he will be able to get his lap back. So Kevin right now, he's not even going to try to fight for position. There's no point in trying to pass that 6th car of Aaron Raymond. He's just going to sit behind here, you know, form a 4-car tandem, which at least in the next gen, I don't know if there is over to the Gen 4, that 3 and 4 car tandems are the quickest way to get around this track. So he's just going to sit here, help out these guys, and in turn they're going to help him out, and if the caution comes, he's right back into position.
At this point, though, do we reckon a caution's going to come out at all? Because, I mean, we're now single file. We're having these longer green flag runs here this afternoon. A 3-car break of the head, 4th back to 10th. You'd reckon around here might be one of the most likely places to get a yellow flag, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, I'm sure once these drivers start really fighting for position, they start getting racy. You know, a bad push there, you know, accidentally clipping a quarter panel here, and cautions will start coming at Daytona very quickly. And the famous saying, cautions breed cautions, I feel that once we get one, there's going to be a lot more that follow.
So the main pack for the lead right now, 4 strong. Kevin Roy, a lap down, is also in the mix. Then you have 6th back to 10th, the biggest pack, a group of 5, with Wilbur, Bualda, Rekic, Witt, and a couple of lap cars also in the mix, like Joshua Burke. I believe Dylan Wilbur is in here as well. 4th and 5th, Michael Gudgeon and Zane Beta, they got Mark Arthur with them, so they might be getting some more progress there. As time steadily marches on. You know, we're at that point, right? I mean, this is the waiting period. Now we wait for either a caution to come out or pit stop to happen, because nobody's really gaining, nobody's really falling.
Yeah, and if I'm Zane Bailey, if I am the defending championship leader, I'm going to want to get up to that main pack. I'm going to be putting my nose to the rear bumper of Michael Gudger, the 64 car in front, and I'm going to be saying, please keep your car straight, and let's catch up to these guys ahead. You know, let me back into this contention for podium position so I can start the season off on the right foot.
Here we go, some movement started to take place as, wow, that 2nd pack going to jump up top. Seth Wilbur, oh no, look out, into the wall hard. Multiple cars, 4, 5, 6, piling up on the front straightaway, and it's caution number 1 of the season. Rekic, Witt, Wilbur, and more, all with heavy damage.
Yeah, just an unfortunate evening for that 13 car. Showed so much promise at the front of that pack. Started on pole too, if I'm not mistaken. Just gets left out to dry by his competitors and caught up in that wreck. Just I couldn't really tell what happened, but I think what happened, I was just talking about it. You know, catching someone's quarter panel is so easy to accidentally do. It happens all the time, and it looks like that's what happened there. Just slight contact, and since you're so close together and there were the 2 cars leading that pack, everyone behind is caught up in it.
Take a look, as this is coming off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Seth Wilbur on the outside, Rekic right behind him. And, well, Wilbur looks low. poked out of line, and Wreckage got pushed into him by Paul Witt. And then look at the 4-car of Cody Witt get caught up. The 18 hopped up into the air onto the deck lid. The 5 of Bawalda got involved, and I think actually, now the car that went skating through the infield actually may have been able to avoid the worst of it.
Yeah, and I know exactly what happened there. Speaking from personal experience, somebody that's done that and been done too. I don't know how to sort of word that. It's just unfortunately a bad push from Wreckage coming off of 4. As the car is coming off of the banking, and as you're exiting the corner, getting your car straight, your rear end gets loose and your rear end hops up a little bit. And it is one of the most unopportune times to put a push on. Unfortunately, Wreckage just barely connected to the 18, pushed him a little bit loose. Wreckage wasn't expecting the 18 to lose so much speed, and from there, the rest is history. He clipped the quarter panel, and that is what brought the caution out.
Whole field going to come down to pit road here, this time by as well. No surprises here. Elliot Kandra leads them down. As the group going to get set this time around. Tanner Barr, Willie McKellar, and Cody Gibson, all interestingly enough, with black flags on the way in.
Yeah, so maybe some speeding penalties for them is the only thing I can think of. Or it could have been maybe there was a car out of line and they all got penalties for passing under a yellow, because iRacing can be really finicky with that. And it looks like they all got cleared. So okay. I would assume it was maybe something weird with a car that stays out. This happens all the time in my leagues. If a car stays out on the racing track and cars coming in accidentally pass him, if they cross the commitment line before the car staying on track cross the commitment line, it will count that as passing under yellow, and it will black flag all the drivers that did that. So that is my guess as to what happened. The admin saw it wasn't anything too aggressive, too bad. They just cleared all those up for them.
Well, Wreckage leads the way. He did not come down pit road, but he's got plenty of damage for his troubles. We're going to take a step back when we return. More racing action on Green Flight TV in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. iRacing pace car just pulling down into pit road. We are still shy of racing action here this afternoon of the halfway point, and the green flag is back in the air. We're back to green here at Daytona.
Yeah, it looks like as those pit cycles came around, Zane Bailey back to the point now. So he must have been the quickest driver at getting in and getting out of his pit box, as we saw him all the way back in fourth, I believe it was, fourth or fifth before that caution came out. So great stuff from him, great stuff from that crew, from his iRacing crew to get that car back out on track to lead the field once again.
Ted Rekich still with a black flag. He did not get that cleared, and I believe that may have been for pitting under closed pits. You got to pit the first lap you can. He did not. He waited for the second, and now he is paying the price for that mistake as he is down to the box. And that should drop what was one of the more dominant cars today off of the lead lap.
Yeah, an unfortunate day for our pole sitter, and as a fellow number 13 myself, I can really feel for him the struggle of starting Daytona on pole, starting the first race of the season in the driver's seat. But everything goes south, and it's going to be tough for him to now get back into fighting contention. It's going to take a caution, and a caution pretty soon at that.
So the field going to battle their way still closer and closer to the halfway mark. We are 9 laps away from that point. Still a long way to go in race action this afternoon. And this time, very, very quickly, we see a single file string from first all the way back to 13th.
Yeah, we're kind of in this middle game now where, you know, that first initial adrenaline rush of, okay, it's the start of the race, let me make up as many places as I can, that's worn off now. And, you know, we're not to the end game yet. We're not quite towards, oh, you know, 10 laps left, let's go, let's push it, send it 3 wide, you know, let's do anything I can to try to win this race. We're in the, well, the chess, what, I'll go back to that chess analogy, we're in the tactics phase, right, that middle game. See if you can outsmart anybody with, you know, little tricky maneuvers, but you don't want to do anything too risky. You know, there's no point in ruining your entire race on lap 38 to try to make up one position. But as I say that, looks like the 48 car is going to get a friend and go high here.
Now, Tanner Martin, number 40 up top. Cody Gibson going to go with them. Gibson was near the front earlier on. He wants to be back there, no doubt. You talk about using potential tricks to outsmart your opponents here on the chessboard, so to speak. I mean, you drive, I'd imagine, more than I do. What kind of tricks are you using at this point in the race at a track like this?
Well, one of my friends who, absolute super speedway merchant, as he calls himself, he's good at other tracks, but his strong suit is those super speedways. Especially when we went to New Atlanta, it's where it's best to do. If they're all taking the low line, if you're able to get a really good run coming out of a corner, and you just barely go, and you go high, and you're just able to catch their quarter panel, as soon as you put that front of your nose, just the littlest bit of the front of your nose on that side of their quarter panel, they can't go back high to that racing line that they would want to go, and just like that, you have a free position. I don't know how well that would work at Daytona. Of course, that reference is at Atlanta, which will work much well when the racing line's a bit different as it is there. But for Daytona, the tricks I can think of is you're looking to find a close friend, maybe someone you're in a Discord call with, find someone you know is a good pusher, go high with them and start something of your own. And that is what the 75 and the 40 are doing.
Oh, but he kind of got leaning on the wrong side. He was leaning on that right rear, and what is the cardinal rule at this racetrack if you're the first car in line? Do not push on the right rear. Every single time it ends in complete disaster, usually for all parties involved and a few innocent bystanders as well. So that's something Tanamar has got to keep in the back of his mind, right? You got to stay off that right rear quarter panel. Even the left rear quarter panel, you got to stay off of it. Mar's going to jump down low.
Yeah, and you bring that up, and you're completely correct with that. I remember when that same friend was teaching me the proper way to push in a practice session. You can hit them square on, but you want to hit just a little bit to the left. And the reason for that, of course, all the tracks are banked downwards, like so. You know, you're down at a slant. If you're pushing someone even a little bit on that right side, you run the risk of pushing them down the hill. And it's much easier to catch someone loose going down the hill than it is going up the hill, just because of the way gravity works. So the ideal push is a little bit offset from the middle, but to that left side, and definitely never to that right side.
Well, they're gonna work to the front straightaway. 49 laps on the boards and just 4 away from the halfway mark this afternoon. Zane Bailey continues his strong run to the head of the field. Elliot Kandra right behind. Single file all the way back to 10th place runner Kevin Roy. That yellow flag, I tell you what, that was a lifesaver for Kevin Roy. Remember when that car was a lap down? He had lost the draft early in the race. Now with a lucky dog, he's into the top 10 and fighting for positions.
Yeah, Kevin Roy is such a cool storyline from this race. He was down literally dead last, 19th position. And that first pit cycle was able to get up in that lead pack. Even though he was a lap down, he was able to get in that lead pack, which is honestly where you want to be. I would much rather be a lap down in that lead group of 4 cars than be 20 seconds behind, you know, on the lead lap. So the fact he was able to put himself in that position to get the lucky dog, very good stuff from him. And he leapfrogs the field from 19th to 10th just by putting himself in that position. So yeah, great storyline follow.
Some movement in the second pack on the racetrack. Dylan Wilbers leads the way, and you just saw Mark Arthur, Cody Witt, and Paul Witt kind of shuffling some spots. I think Noah Swabber may have shuffled around a little bit in there as well. So some reorganization of the line, as it were, but that hasn't slowed them down too much. They still have some good pace for 11th on back to 15th. These guys, while they are 8 seconds back from the leaders, they are right now at no risk of losing the lead lap.
Yeah, since they are all formed together, they have a nice group of 7 cars, so they are going to be running very similar, if not the same lap times to that lead group. But what is getting a little worrying is Ted Rekich, that 13 car, approaching that 20. So let's see how Ted Rekich lets himself get lapped, see if he's able to work himself into that front pack, because he's not going to want to fall behind them. Really what you want to do is try to let them by, but let them by on the low side. So, use that high side to get a good run down, let them by, drop as quick as you can, and just hope that you're able to catch their drive.
And here they go. Some of these guys, in fact, coming down to pit road. Now, this is Dylan Wilbers and Mark Arthur. They did not pit under the latest yellow flag. And that was a strategic decision from them, right? They were taking a gamble that, hey, maybe we can get a lucky caution here, stay out, get our laps back, and then we can get on site with the rest of the leaders. That yellow flag never came. Now they are forced into pit road right at the halfway mark. And with them already being 8 seconds back, I would imagine they're going to be a lap down and, well, right back to score up before too long. But it's one of those things, right? You're a lap down, you may as well try. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You just end up right back where you started. It's going to be no different than if you did nothing at all.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the strategy call. Sometimes, sometimes you hate doing it, but sometimes you just have to bank on a caution. You say, well, my race is already kind of over. Let's play it risky and hope for a caution. And sometimes it is just the best case scenario. As the 16 car, that is the 16 car coming out of the pits now. So Dylan Wilbers and Mark Arthur, I believe, they're going to come out 14th and 15th place. Still in the lead lap, though, but very close to getting lapped.
Halfway home this afternoon, 45 down, 45 to go in our third and final show on this Saturday, August 16th. As there goes Dylan Wilbers Mark Arthur dropping one lap down. We had a triple header today, and we're going to have a triple header tomorrow as well. It's the Classic IndyCar Series coming at you from the Kentucky Speedway. Myself, Austin Edstrom, and Gary Godson will be bringing you all of racing action on the 300-kilometer race tomorrow. That'll be then brought up by the Blaze Pedals ARCA Series at the Milwaukee Mile that evening, alongside For the Boys Racing League in Michigan. Then it's cutoff time on Monday night. The High Tide Racing League Garden Premier Series with their round of 12 cutoff race at the Iowa Speedway. SRA takes to the Brickyard. And then the Milwaukee Mile will be out for the Premier Sim Racing Giving Expo Truck Series alongside the Beer League at the Circuit of the Americas this coming Wednesday afternoon. All of that, plenty more still to come as well on Whiplash TV over the next week and beyond.
Yeah, as someone who has been to the Brickyard multiple times, as my college is very, very close to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it always brings good racing, no matter what cars are running, no matter what series you're running. IndyCar, NASCAR, you name it, that is not going to be a stream you're going to want to miss. The Brickyard, one of the best tracks on this planet, and the 350,000 people that show up every year to the Indy 500 prove it.
Well, St. Bailey still leads the way. Kendra, Raymond, Lane, Bawaldo. 1 through 5. Wreckage up on the outside. Made a little bit of a move up. Thought he might be trying to get some to work with him. Now he is 2 laps down, so part of me thinks that Wreckage is just trying to get to the head of the field to get 1 lap back, so that way he's only 1 down. If the yellow flag does come out and he's lucky enough to avoid the melee. But the problem is when you're 2 laps down, not a lot of people are willing to go with you.
Yeah, not only that, there's no really hope for a lucky dog anymore at that point, because it is going to be that first car on the lap down that gets that lucky dog. So the only time you're ever going to get a lucky dog if you're 2-3 laps down is if there's nobody else to lap down. But since there are 5 other people that aren't on this lead lap, I highly doubt Ted Reckett will be getting a lucky dog. Probably not getting any help, as you said. Besides, I guess, William McKellar with 75 would still help him. But that's probably just William McKellar wanting to help himself. Because, you know, maybe he's thinking, okay, Ted Wreckage is up here, let's do it. So, gets up there, gets a little bit of track position, and drops right back down, yeah. Wow. So, we see a lot of selfishness, but he is 2 laps down, so.
Well, and let's say McKellar does get up to the front, right? And he does bring Wreckage with him. That doesn't help Wreckage at all still, because Wreckage needs to be in front to get his lap back. If he's still the first car behind, you're still 2 laps down, and that does you no good. So Wreckage would have been, you know, between a rock and a hard place, no matter how you look at it, had that gone the way he expected. Of course, it didn't. McKellar leapfrogged a couple cars and then tucked in line for 6. But it goes, again, to a point about just how difficult it can be to get a lap back on pace alone at a super speedway. Now, he might have an opportunity coming on up here if he gets lucky with the yellow flag, because right now you've got pit stops coming up in a few laps. In fact, there is Michael Campbell rejoining the racetrack after he went way down low to get out of the way of the leaders.
Yeah, so I guess Michael Campbell opted for a different strategy than Ted Wreckage. We saw Wreckage as he got that 2nd lap down. He tried to join with the pack and see if he can still be competitive, but Campbell said, I'm 2 laps down. My race is probably over. I don't want to tangle. I'm here to turn some laps. I'm here to, you know, just get some clean laps turned. Don't want to get any instant points. Don't want to be involved in any wrecks that are going to happen in that main pack. And probably it's 2 different strategies. And I honestly probably side with Mike Campbell. You know, when you're 2 laps down, we talked about this already a lot, but so little hope of getting a lucky dog. And the only hope is that a lot of crashes happen and you're not in them. So now let's say that group that Ted Wreckage is in, every single one of them crashes out. Now Campbell just gains 8 to 9 positions just by sitting back and playing safe.
Hard to blame him. It's gotten a bit dicey a handful of times up at the front. Sometimes it's worth it to just kind of take a step back, let the leaders kind of run their own thing, especially when you're off pace and just coming out of the road when you're already 1 lap down. And I'm not expecting to see anybody really going for moves either, because again, we are expected to see pretty much the whole field back down pit road before too long. So this is still, this is still going to be a little bit here. I think before this gets really insane, especially because you also got to remember, you still have another pit stop after this. You cannot go the distance when we come down pit road.
Yeah, and you're right, pit stops are coming soon, and that's the time where drivers will start communicating with each other. You know, in real life, in NASCAR, you know, maybe drivers will stick out their hand like, hey, I'm doing this time, come with me if you want to draft. Luckily in iRacing, we have a better solution, which is the driver radio. You know, they hit their push talk button, they say, hey, I'm going to pit next lap, who wants to come with me? You know, you'll get a couple people say, that's perfect for me, I'm about to run out of fuel. But come down with you, you can get 3 or 4 cars to pit with, just to make sure you're not left completely alone when you exit the pit, and you still have some drafting buddies when you all leave.
It often is like a game of chicken, isn't it? As everybody wants to come down. Nobody wants to be the first one, because it is by far the riskiest to be the first one to duck out of line, because you don't know if anyone around you is coming with you. At least if you're behind, you know all the guys that are, you know, rapidly slow, and they're all coming to pit road with you.
Yeah, and I'm not one to brag, but as somebody who has led a lot of official Daytona 500s, it is nervous, and we do have some cars coming down pit road, but it's nerve-wracking being in the lead. You don't know if you pit, if anyone's going to come with you. I remember I pit one time, no one came with me, and I was just left out to dry.
So it might be Cody Witt right behind Paul Witt, actually just overshot his box and had to reverse into it, so a devastating error for Cody Witt. Well, Paul Witt going to make his way onto the racetrack and Noah Swafford. We got more cars all hitting pit road this time by.
Yeah, so it looks like Zane Bailey, our leader, probably initiated that. Everybody followed him. So in this circumstance, it was not the unfortunate circumstance. It was not the unfortunate scenario that I was just in, where the leader comes down to pit road and nobody followed me. Zane Bailey came down to pit road. You know, as the defending championship leader, people probably respect him. People probably trust his decision-making skills, especially in racing. People follow him down, and he might just be able to get out of the pits and hold that first place.
Thomas Lane Jr. lost a lot of ground. We saw Cody Witt overshoot. Well, we don't often see somebody undershoot the box. Thomas Lane Jr. locked the brakes up, all but stopped, and then had to lurch forward to get into a stall.
I mean, to be fair, it is much better than overshooting, because driving a little bit forward is much quicker than chucking your car in reverse, driving it backward, chucking it back into first gear, and yeah, it's undershooting is definitely much better than overshooting.
Well, that was as they were coming down out of pit road. This was the way in for Thomas Lane Jr. See those blue flames shooting out from the sides of the exhaust panels here as cars make their way down. He's got Michael Gudger on his left-hand side, and I wonder if maybe he missed sight of his braking point for his pit stall. And then right around here, you see him lock up big. They have to spin the wheels to get in time.
I wonder if he was trying to avoid contact with the 64 almost. Even though the cars are ghosted in iRacing, maybe he got like he thought it was real life or something. He's like, I have to brake. I don't want to hit the car next to me. But yeah, pretty weird. Or it could also just be the fact maybe he hit the brakes too hard. You know, as I've said earlier this race in the first pit, on that first pit stop, those brakes are going to be very cold coming down to pit road, especially after 20 or so laps of not using them at all. They're going to lose all for temperature, and locking them up is very, very easy when that happens.
Well, and of course, there's also an extra caveat. That undershoot, while it seems like a small mistake, that was enough to make him lose the draft. He's down 3.8 seconds just from Cody Gibson alone, and he's struggling with the likes of John Walter Jr. and Kevin Roy to catch him again.
Yeah, he's going to be kicking himself for that one because it's such a small mistake. But at drafting tracks, at plate tracks, the small mistakes are what cost you the race. And unfortunately for him, that does get him away from this top pack. But he's got a group of 3 cars there, and maybe even a 4th if William McKellar can group up with them. So he's definitely not out of this race. And like I said earlier, a group of 3 or 4 cars, that is the quickest way around this track if you're able to draft properly and perfectly. So definitely do not count them out just yet.
Aaron Raymond went high, trying to make a run for the lead. It didn't work. Nobody went with him, and so Raymond has dropped back to the sixth place spot. So Raymond's going to be tucked up right behind Wreckage now as he tries to run him down with Cody Gibson just a little ways up the road. Top six, still all of them under a blanket, and it's a good indication here of what's going to be the case at Talladega, right? 80 laps, but the racing is all but identical.
Yeah, these plate tracks, these super speedways like Daytona, like Dega, they're very, very similar. The one big difference that a lot of NASCAR fans will point out is that the checkered line, the finish, that start-finish line, at Daytona, it's right in the middle of the tri-oval. At Talladega, it's after the tri-oval is completely ended. So you have even more room for like last lap shenanigans of, okay, you really want to make sure you can be in the draft approaching the checkered because you have even more time to use that draft to propel yourself forward. That's the main difference that people will talk about. But yeah, you're perfectly right. The racing is very, very similar. At Atlanta, especially New Atlanta, it does change dramatically because the racing line is kind of back into effect. You're doing an outside, inside, outside type thing. And like I mentioned earlier, there's ways that really good super speedway drivers can trick you into giving up positions. So Atlanta definitely is, you know, the odd one out in these plate tracks. But Daytona and Talladega very, very similar.
Well, here comes Michael Gudger, now being pushed by Ted Wreckage, and finally, we got a side-by-side fight for the lead for the first time in almost 60 laps as Aaron Raymond up top. Well, Wreckage going to have to wait a little bit longer to get that lap back as Gudger drops down across the nose of Zane Bailey, but this is the chance that Wreckage was waiting for. Now he can get ahead of Gudger, jump down where Raymond can get clear as well. And then he's got one lap back. This could be critical for him if this pays off for him.
Yeah, close but no cigar, because if you still look at the timing tower, you know, you have Joshua Burke, you have Mike Campbell. They're a lap down, but they're ahead of Ted Wreckage. So even though Wreckage has got that one lap back, he's still not in prime contention to get that lucky dog rule, unless there are 3 more cautions that come out in these next couple laps. Or not next couple laps, but by the end of the race. So yes, great job for him to get to the point of this field, but he's still got a long way to go before he is back on the lead lap.
19 cars started the race, 15 are on the lead lap, but all 19 still running out there on the racetrack. No one has retired from this race despite a couple of pretty hard hits. Of course, Joshua Burke with that big impact into the wall with Noah Swafford earlier in the race. That was not a caution. And then, of course, Wreckage and Moore all getting tangled together on the front straightaway after Wilbers went down and then got hooked and tried to get back up in line. That said, Aaron Raymond continuing to hold on alongside Zane Bailey, and well, Tanamar might be keen to push Bailey through to the front.
Yeah, and if I have any predictions, I predict we're going to get a caution with about 10 to go. Drivers really start getting racy. They're really going to drive each other close, push each other as hard as they possibly can. And I feel like once we get one caution, 10 to go, we're going to get another one on the restart and another one that might snowball into just, you know, caution after caution, but we're going to get a lot of action. So I think with 10 to go, the action's really going to start to ramp up and really pick up pace. So I wouldn't go anywhere just yet. It might just be a chess game now, but by the end of this, it'll definitely be the boxing that we hope for in this chess boxing match of NASCAR.
Raymond clears down to the inside of the racetrack as the field continues to work their way around. We'll take ourselves another step away, but this time you won't miss a moment. We'll go side by side on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Pit stops underway for the leaders, and these will be the last ones of the night. They are looking to split this final stint in half. Gudger, Wreckage, Bailey, all into pit road. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the SRA Gen 4 Series in the season opener. Only one caution so far. My name is Olivemple alongside Lucas Moody. We bring you all the action here this afternoon. Wreckage taking tires, and in doing so, he has been screwed as the other two guys with them took fuel only.
Yeah, and I've done a good amount of Daytona 500s, and you can do an entire 500 with not taking any tires. So the fact he's taking tires in only a 90-lap race is very interesting to me.
And here come the rest of the front runners. Marr, Raymond, Kandra, Gibson all in, as well as that Joshua Bergeson just up the road. You've also got the US Army machine in as well. While we were also under the break, you saw Mark Arthur come down pit road. He got a black flag for speeding on the way in. Got caught by the old speed traps. Situated right at pit entry, unfortunately for him. Man, talk about a bit of a run out of pit road. Elliott Kandra being split 3 wide on the exit lane.
Yeah, those speed penalties are very, very harsh in iRacing. Essentially, what it does is it doesn't look at how much over the speed limit you're going. It says essentially when you enter the pit lane, and if you're speeding into the pit lane, it'll flash at you. And if it flashes one more time before you're able to lower your speed, that is when the penalty will occur. So anytime it gives you 2 flashes of you are speeding, that is when you'll get that penalty. So you really want to watch out for that. And unfortunately, on that occasion, he did get flagged, had to come back down to pit road. But the other thing I want to talk about, 16 to go, not only do these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end, they will also have enough fuel to run the entire 2 overtime sessions in case we get some green-white checkers coming to the end of this race. And here we have that last group of people coming in down pit road. Oh, that's speeding.
Oh, man. Mawalda, where are you going? Well, to his stall, apparently, and he didn't even get the right stall. All of that.
That's too much speed. I just don't know if his brakes stopped working or what happened.
I think he just wasn't paying attention.
And if I'm Thomas Lane Jr., I got a black flag as well. I'm on the radio to the admin saying, hey, he just pushed me wide of the cone. Can you please clear that? Like, there's nothing I can do about that. But it doesn't look like they cleared it in time. He's stalled in his pit, serving that 40-second stop and go.
Hold on. Tanamar, look at the hood popped up on the number 40.
And chaos ensues with 15 to go in Daytona.
A problem as well with your assessment of Thomas Lane Jr. trying to appeal to the admin to get his penalty cleared. He's the owner.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Bit of what's it called? Conflict of interest there.
Yeah, just a little bit, you know. Well, their whole deal is Irish penalties don't get cleared. You got to suck it up. What in the world happened to Marr? Holy, well,
he's already got it there.
That is after it had already happened. We'll try again here. So he's with Aaron Raymond. Big push down the back straight. You see Raymond kind of looking to give him a firm shove here. And let me guess, he pushed him into the corner. Yep, leaned on the left rear and around he goes. Oh. Cannot lean on the left rear. And again, that's the type of moves that are not going to make you any friends out there.
Yeah, we've talked about a little bit. The number 6 car, already not the most popular guy in the paddock. That's not going to help him at all. I don't know if he already had, you know, some beef, some bad relations with the 40, but it's either going to worsen them or cut them off altogether. But as we see, this pack now, he's able to come back out. Looks like he used that fast repair. Able to come back just 1 lap down, but he has a pack to run with, so all hope is not lost for him just yet.
So what this has done, this has very heavily broken up the lead battles here. Gudger and Bailey are right now on a 3-second breakaway from third and fourth. Now, the reason why they're not dropping, they've got lap traffic, the former Cody Gibson, to help them out along with Joshua Burke. Further down, Cody Gibson back here in third with Aaron Raymond. And Gibson's and they've got a couple cars in front of them that they're working with simultaneously. In fact, it's Bawalda and Marr that they are working with. So, a lot of interesting separation in this field. The two cars right now working with the front two are Cody Witt and Joshua Burke.
Yeah, and I actually really like the state the race is in kind of right now. You know, even though it's not like double file, you know, for 10 rows back, we have a group of 4 trying to catch a group of 4. The two quickest groups you can have around this track. So it is solely down who can push better, who is able to hold onto their car steadier when receiving a push. And this all comes down to this is going to sound crazy. It comes down to those third and fourth cars. You know, that second car in line, he's only able to get to the rear of that first car if that third car stays right up behind him. That third car has to be so close to that second car if he wants any chance of catching up to the first one. So really, that fourth car wants to be as close as possible without touching Zane Bailey, and that is the best way to get Bailey, because that gives him that backdraft, that gives him that aero draft from the back, that allows him to push the 64 down those straightaways. But if that 4 car isn't able to stay within Bailey, if he's not able to close that gap, keep that gap small, then Bailey has no chance of getting connected with that 64, and you're just not able to really win this battle. And as you see, I don't believe that Cody Witt is doing a great job of that, and Zane Bailey and Michael Gudger, they're not pushing each other enough because that gap has dropped 4/10 in just that last lap. So Cody Gibson, Aaron Raymond, don't count them out of contention yet. They have 10 laps to go, and they're catching about half a second a lap.
So the field going to be working their way around. Under 10 laps to go this time by Michael Gudger, Zane Bailey leading the way. All the lead cars in 2-car tandems. Gudger and Bailey linked up. Gibson and Raymond linked up. Kandra and Roy are a team. McKellar and Witt are a team. And even laps down, Bawalda and Marr are a team along with Campbell and Rekich. A lot of 2-car trains. Not a single one of, there are not 3 cars in the same pack that are on the same lap.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how that works. Just by complete coincidence, you have 2 cars working, 2 cars first and second working with 2 lap cars, third and fourth working with 2 lap cars, and that pattern kind of continues down the path. But yeah, now we have once again Cody Gibson, Aaron Raymond, though they lost a little bit of time that lap, so maybe Bailey, Gudger, they just had to cool down their cars a little bit. Sometimes you just have to stop pushing just 1 lap, get your water temperatures, get your oil temperatures under control, and then you can connect to the bumper once again, start pushing, bring out that gap. But with 8 to go, it is crunch time here. So you really want to throw those temperatures out the window, be as risky as you possibly can, because let me tell you, if Cody Gibson and Aaron Raymond, if they can catch up to that pack, if they just get within a second, maybe even a second and a half, they get not only do they get that draft, that speed that they were carrying up to you, but now they get that draft from in front, and they will slingshot around you. And unless you throw a very dangerous block, there's not a lot that can stop them.
Well, one more car linking onto the group that's got the front runners in. I believe that to be is that Campbell from behind? No, that is Dylan Wilbers. Just dropping off of the lead lap as well. Well, after 7 to go, I mentioned at the very top of the show, it's very risky saying, who do you think is a win for this one? Well, I think we're a bit safer now. So now I'll ask the question, do you have a favorite?
I've got to go with Zane Bailey. I mean, I'm pretty new to this league. I'm still getting familiar with all the driver names and the paces of everything. But if you win a championship, I mean, that already puts you in the top of my mind. That means I know he has the smarts to outthink Gudger on that final lap. I know that he has the ability to get that draft coming off before approaching the checker, because that's really what it's going to be about. You know, can Gudger find the draft he needs to? Can you get a lap car behind to work with him maybe? You know, that 4 car behind of Cody Whitted is he going to hop out of line with Zane Bailey? That's what it's really going to come down to. Maybe he will. You know, you want to be nice to the guys that are leading the races. So, you know, Cody Whitt becomes nice to Zane Bailey. You know, maybe in the future, Zane Bailey becomes nice to you. You want to be friends with those guys that are quick. And since Bailey is quick and people know that he's quick, he just won the championship, people are going to work with you more favorably just for that fact alone. So I think that if Zane hops out of line, I think he might get some lap cars to help him to pass Gudger.
Well, and I think the reason why Bailey is the favorite to win as well, right? There's one place you don't want to be on the last lap. It's in the lead. You are the most vulnerable. You have next to no way to defend yourself. All you got to do is just sit there, let it happen, and hope things screw up enough behind you that you can hold on.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is throw some blocks, but you know, one risky block in your first turns into a 15th, right? So you really don't want to be doing anything too dumb. Even though you're fighting for the lead, you still have to keep in mind the whole season, you know, as you know, you still have to keep in mind the entire season. And okay, a second's not as good as a first. The second is much better than a 15th.
Three laps to go here this afternoon. A battle starting to, well, a few cars actually starting to conglomerate behind Cody Whitt. And now Dylan Wilbur has just overtook Noah Swafford there, who's at the tail of the field. That was for position. Noah Swafford racing the 2 cars directly in front of him to try to get a top 10 out of tonight, out of a race that has gone pretty south for him as of late. And critically, they're about to catch yet another lap car as well, who's going to add to the fray. This field is slowly but surely building itself up more and more, and only 2 cars in the lead lap are in this group.
Yeah, and if I'm those 2 cars, I am scared for this. You know, you have a 4-second gap to the car behind. You've been doing really good at pushing and making sure that gap stays. Not only stays, but extends as well. You know, just a couple laps ago, we saw that at 3 seconds, it extended that to 4. But if I'm Gudger or Bailey, I don't want a pack forming. That just allows for more chaos to happen. That allows for more contact to be made. Just puts into the world more situations that can happen. And you do not want to caution right now. You do not want to run the risk of everybody grouping back up again. Back to double wide. Back to where essentially anybody's in contention to win the race. Right now, if you're Gudger or Bailey, you love what is happening. Only 2 people have a realistic shot of winning this race right now, and you do not want that to change with the caution. And the more lap cars that add on to this pack, the more likelihood of there being a caution get out. So if I'm Gudger or Bailey, I'm just hoping that they all DC simultaneously and that you can drive your race.
Looking for the white flag. This time by, it will end up being a 1 caution race. Zane Bailey and Gudger off of turn number 4. If you're going to make a move, now would be the time. 1 lap to go from the Gen Open at Daytona.
I think it's funny, Dylan Wilbers on the last lap has to come down to pit road, runs out of fuel, just not able to make it to the end, very closely.
Zane Bailey being patient. He's waiting in the wings. His teammate Michael Gudger sitting just up the road. Which one of them comes out on top at the end of this race? Swafford looking high on Joshua Burt. There won't be a move. Bailey continuing to push Michael Gudger through 3, through 4. Cody Gibson is turned on the back straightaway. We'll get to that in a moment. Aaron Smith is also slowing. Meanwhile, there's the look up high. Bailey trying to go for the move. Coming out of turn number 4. Down to the start-finish line. This time by to the stripe. Bailey up top. Gudger down low. A drag race. And Bailey hangs on to take the win by a few hundredths.
I mean, you can't say it was in the cards, but I really think it was in the cards. Both of us 7 laps ago thought Bailey had it in the bag. We know he's a very experienced one. We know he's a great driver. And you said it, You don't want to be in first approaching the white flag. Unfortunately for Gudger, he was. And great drag race to the line to finish it out. First for Zane Bailey, second for Michael Gudger. Both of them will be happy with the points they pick up in the first race of the season.
And that was the crash that happened coming out of turn 2 with Cody Gibson and Aaron Raymond both getting tangled up at the tail, and then it looks like Aaron Raymond actually slowed up to redress that position. So some good sportsmanship shown by Zane Bailey. And then as they come out of turn numbers 3 and 4, it was the run down to the line that brought this race to a close, and Bailey takes it by about half a car.
Yeah, great move from him. Very opportunistic, and that's what you have to do on that last lap in the last burn Daytona.
Boy.
Oh, and he gets run into during his donuts.
Boy.
As he's burning it out, I couldn't tell what car that was. That wasn't Gudger, was it?
No, I think it was wreckage.
Okay. That would have been crazy if it was Gudger.
No, Gudger's already off the racetrack by now, but Zane Bailey, a happy camper after this one. Took the championship just last week, and this time around, he is going to be able to clinch the first win of the new Gen 4 series here as well. So we'll look to take a rundown on your official post-race results here this afternoon as he continues to celebrate on the front straightaway. This is how things went down this afternoon. Zane Bailey takes home the race win by half a tenth over Michael Gudger. Kevin Roy, after being a lap down, losing the draft early on, what a recovery drive for Roy as he will recover up to third spot. He just barely beats out Elliot Kandra, the rookie, coming home with a very solid fourth place. McKellar in fifth, and then it's Witt, Gibson, Raymond, the last cars on the lead lap. Cody Witt and Noah Swafford close out the top 10.
And then in 11th, it'll be John Bawalda Jr., followed by Mark Arthur, and then 16 of Dylan Wilbers will be the last car on that one lap down. Now, these are the cars that, more unfortunate circumstances, not only did they go one lap down, but their strategy put them a second lap down as well. That'll be the 24 of Joshua Berg, the 38 of Thomas Lane Jr., Ted Rekich in that 13 car, and then Mike Campbell in the 71. And then rounding out the field, 4 laps down, you have Tanner Marr in the 40. We saw have that late incident, got a lot of damage in that car, and the 18 of Seth Wilbur.
Well, the field going to be brought home after this one on a pretty solid drive as far as this field is considering. Let's take a chance to jump down, and we'll talk to the drivers that finished this one down in the top 3 here this afternoon. And we'll look to kick things off first and foremost with Zane Bailey, the driver for Ford Performance, who comes home number 1 this afternoon. The defending champion kicks off his season strong with a race win here this afternoon. Zane, always big to win the first race of the season, especially when you're driving like you on a title defense. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates for helping me all throughout the night. First, we were really trying to figure out what strategy we were going to run. But that one caution kind of messed it up. I was happy to see the first caution because I felt like I was going to be like a lap short on fuel maybe. Or I would have had to save, but I would have just lost in the panic. But yeah, it feels great to win. Yeah, in the season opener.
It was, of course, a move that came in the middle of turn numbers 3 and 4 when you jumped up high to make the run on Michael Gudger. Of course, it's not always easy to judge when you need to make those moves, especially when you got lap cars behind you. When did you know the time was right to go for it?
The practice races definitely helped me with that move. Thursdays, I almost won by just barely. I barely missed the timing on it. Ted told me a couple things that I should have done different. And it helped me. Also, the Tuesday night practice race when it was me and Elliot, he was behind me. He was able to get to my right rear, right out of 4 and side draft, and he went on to 1. So I learned it from those guys. So that's how I knew how to when to do it.
Well, it's a long season ahead, 12 weeks, 11 more to go after tonight. What's going to be the game plan for you as we get set to roll into next week's race at Atlanta?
Old Atlanta isn't like my favorite track. hopefully it's loose. If it's loose, I'll probably do pretty good, but if it's tight, I hate a tight race car. I don't know how I'll do, but these cars are a lot of fun.
Well, we wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again. Congratulations on taking home number 1, and we will see you again whenever we see you on track next, hopefully in Georgia.
Yep, thank you.
Zane Bailey comes home number 1 here at the end of the night, and we'll move on down to Michael Gudger, the driver that comes home number 2. He stands by with Lucas Moody.
Yeah, so Michael Gudger, you're on that white flag lap. You just exited turn 2, coming down to turn 3. What is going through your mind knowing that the defending championship winner, Zane Bailey's behind you? What was in your head? What was your game plan approaching that?
Make it to the checker flag. I wasn't gonna wreck him. I wasn't gonna wreck a teammate for that at all. I wasn't even gonna hardly block him. That was somebody else. I'd have blocked the crap out of him off before, but I knew it was gonna be me and him 1-2, and that's just what we wanted. I didn't really care about finishing order. I would have had him there at the line though, I feel, but lap car ended up right up behind him and didn't really give him a push, but it was just alongside me enough to hit that side draft on me and just absolutely kill all of my momentum, so I couldn't have a shot at getting the side draft back to Zane. But man, if I could get that side draft, whew, it would have been real close at the line. I don't know if I'd have gotten it, but just happy to be second place. That race went about as well as a race could, so I'm pretty happy about that, and good momentum rolling in the next week.
Yeah, and Zane mentioned that you guys were kind of, guessing at what the strategy would be throughout the race. So what was really your mindset for that strategy, when so many variables or so many things that can play into that? What was like your symbol for like, okay, this is now where I should pit?
Honestly, I would say that there's logic to it, but there's not really logic to it. Most of us were just trying to run it out of gas. Early there was some logic to it because we would have been 2 laps short of gas had it went green all the way. So my strategy was to just drop in the back and save those 2 laps early, and that's why I dropped back early in that race. But and I'd have been sitting really good if it went green. But after that, after we got those couple of cautions, we just went till we ran out, and then on that last one it was more just give us like 4 lap buffer, short pit as soon as we could, and give ourselves a 3 lap buffer in case we got a green white checker. But other than that, it was just pretty plain and simple strategy, honestly.
Yeah, and then my final question for you, do you have anybody you'd like to thank or shout out for the second place?
Zane, Ted, both those guys helped us out a lot. Me and Zane, we were working so well there at the end. Cody and Josh were really good help there at the end too. Let us break away and let us get through there. But yeah, just glad to come away with that as second place and finally didn't get wrecked at a plate race. Honestly, that's what I'm happy about.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us, Michael. And I believe Kevin Roy, our third place finisher, will be standing by with Nolan.
Normally, that would be the case. It unfortunately is not this afternoon. Kevin Roy evidently had places to be and things to do. So, Kevin Roy not going to be available for comment. It's a shame. I was hoping to talk to him more about his excellent recovery drive back. For being a lap down on 19th on the grid after starting stone dead last. But a stellar race here overall here this afternoon, and I am frankly excited to see what's in store for this series going forward, because these guys have proven that they can really put up a fight if they want to, and this championship is only just getting started.
Yeah, and only 1 caution at Daytona. That gets me really excited for these nice long green lap stints that we can get at some of these other tracks, these intermediate tracks, these short tracks. I'm especially excited for some of the short tracks that we go to, because those always bring out the best racing.
Well, we'll wish you all of our viewers the best of luck over the course of the next week or so. Lots of action still yet to come on Green Flag TV. Tomorrow, it's a triple header. The Classic IndyCar Series returns from their summer break at the Kentucky Speedway. Blaze Battle swings to Milwaukee, and for the Boys Racing League will take to the Michigan International Speedway. Meanwhile, High Tide Racing League closes out their round of 12 at the Iowa Speedway, and Omer Sorrell will also take to the Brickyard this coming Tuesday. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Oliver Empel alongside Lucas Moody. Thank you all so much for joining us for more racing action. This championship still in its infancy, and we'll see what is yet to come when we go racing next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway.